This is Walt. It's Black History Month, and supposed to celebrate Black history. And I've made a few videos. I haven't wanted to drop them. I dropped one about Wrightsville, Arkansas. Young black boys that were burned alive overnight, and they've tried so hard to make us, or not let us learn it, cover it up. They built a prison on top of it, where of course what we're made to think is the image of a criminal is a black man, where a lot of black men are incarcerated at an ADC, Arkansas Department of Corrections prison in Wrightsville, Arkansas. You know, I learned about Tulsa, Black Wall Street, where hundreds of black people were massacred. What many say is the largest loss of life event in American history, Elaine, Arkansas. Talk about that. I think if we're going to have a Black History Month, we should have a White Violence Month, or hello, the cops are rooted in white supremacy, and police have always brutalized black people because we don't seem to be getting it. You know, that Capitol storm thing happened, and they were surprised. They were off guard. I think we knew what was happening there. Black people have been trying to tell us this is the way it is. So I can remember. They're not surprised by any of it. This week, a 16-year-old black girl and a 9-year-old black girl. I just got so riled up about it. It hurt so bad. 16-year-old girl in Florida, SRO officers, student resource officers, body slammed. You could feel the building shake. They threw this little girl down to the ground. And there's Rochester, Daniel Prude fame. A family in distress calls with a situation, and the police officer gets there, and I mean, he is wrestling this little girl, 9 years old. Come here, Cooper. Cooper, you in here? 9 years old. And if they treated an animal like this, somebody would call, I'm sorry, bud, I just wanted to give you a hug. This guy right here. You're 9 years old, aren't you, Cooper? All right, let your dad finish this up. Thanks, buddy. I love you. 9 years old. I don't think they're... That's where I get the black-white thing. Yeah, I know police are bad to everybody, but they're treating black girls not like humans, not like a little 9-year-old. Cop said in the video that he pepper sprays, chemical warfare on a 9-year-old. He pepper sprays her. Says, you're acting like a child. She said, I am a child. That might have been what Tamir Rice would say if he could have said something. Tamir Rice, 12 years old, gunned down by a police officer. Surprise. So before the Capitol storm on the 6th, said there was not a good safety measures at the Capitol because they didn't know it was coming. What? You didn't know it was coming? Nobody was surprised by that. So my place as a white man is to talk about white violence and the fact that police, white supremacy, all rooted in the same thing it's always been suited in. The day before the Capitol storm over there in Kenosha, Wisconsin, they announced that the police wouldn't be charged with killing Jacob Blake. They had the National Guard ready in case all those unruly black people start burning down buildings and looting. We were marching in the streets this summer. And they still somehow, like in that Capitol thing, they said, I heard it was Black Lives Matter. Well, that only lasted right there at first because they realized all the video out there wasn't anybody with any color in their face. It was a bunch of white dudes, white women. They make the black man out to be the face of the criminal. That's how it works. In Kenosha, no National Guard. They called the National Guard out for that reaction. No National Guard in Washington, D.C. for the announcement of the president-elect. Surprise, surprise. We've been trying to tell you. The only justice in this country is for the white man. Well, if the cops would have treated that 9-year-old girl like they treated Dylan Roof, who just gunned down 9 black people worshiping in South Carolina with the Confederate flag. Well, after they rounded him up, they took him out for burgers at Wendy's. Kyle Rittenhouse, who tried to flag down the police. Another mass shooter, shot more than one person. He's a hero for white America. They don't even know where he is right now, out of jail on bond, and they can't locate him. White people. We saw this coming from the storms of the people that wanted to protest wearing a mask, or the staying home restrictions are too hard. They come to the Capitol with their guns. Black people can't get away with that. Quawan Charles down in Baldwin, Louisiana. No announcements on his brutal murder, with his face horribly disfigured, his body all out of whack. They didn't treat him like my son here, Cooper, that I just called up. They didn't treat him like a child. There are no announcements there. I mean, the interim police officer in Rochester said, "This is not who we are. This is not who we are." The hell it ain't. This is who we are. It keeps being who we are. Why don't we ever look at the backgrounds of these brutal murderers? Ahmaud Arbery, Jacob Blake, George Floyd. We know all about what they had on their sheets, rap sheets. We knew everything about being late for class, or a gun being found on your person at a basketball game 6 years before. It doesn't matter. All these people that justify the killings. When I made a video about the Jacob Blake verdict that day, everybody was surprised. It would have been surprising if they would have charged the police with something. When I made that video, the first comment I got on YouTube was, Jacob Blake got what he deserved. Right. Race is a problem here. They defend the actions of police. They defend the actions. They justify reasons for it. The McMichaels, who hunted Ahmaud Arbery down like a feral hog and brutally murdered him. We heard all about Ahmaud Arbery's background, but we don't hear about McMichael, who was chased off the police force for excessive force. How does that happen? He must have been real bad. We don't hear about how he dropped the N-word all over the place. No, not a factor. They're just somebody who killed somebody but didn't get charged with it. George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, the police officer, kneeled down on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while George Floyd said, "I can't breathe." His background says there's a lot of complaints of excessive force and police procedure down on kneeling on somebody's neck. We don't hear about that, though. We heard all about Jacob Blake's background for the police shooting him 7 times in the back. Andre Hill, that officer who shot him, just charged with murder, indicted. Woo, that's a surprise. But maybe that Andre Hill would still be alive if they'd have looked at that police cop's background of all the complaints of firing his weapon recklessly. being too quick to pull the trigger. But we don't put a stop to it. We can't count on the police to police themselves. They're going to keep getting away with it. You know, no justice, no peace, we said. I don't. Nothing's changing. Nobody cares. This is not who we are. You know, that's what they said after the Capitol storm. Insurrection. The Trump terrorists, the white people pissed off. White on white crimes. This is not who we are. The hell it ain't. Oh my God, that's who we are. I guess he was an interim police officer. Probably something to do with the Daniel Prude case, where the cops suffocated a man who couldn't breathe, holding him down, Daniel Prude. Over and over and over again. So let's change the narrative and just accept it. Let's accept white violence. Let's accept the suffering of Black America so we can celebrate Black history. We got a long, long way to go, y'all. We got a long way to go. Yo, Dre, I got something to say.